Summer of 2021, I'm scrolling through Instagram and I come across this reel. Now, this was just as I started getting into self-improvement and I was hungry to challenge myself. So naturally, it took about probably 10 seconds for me to commit to this challenge. Because after all, I mean, what's 1 month? It's whatever. So I commit to that. I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be, uncomfortable, and it's going to be a challenge. But I'm ready to do it. I'm committed. And I wanted to see how it would change me both mentally and physically. Now, when it became closer to August 1st, which is when it was gonna start, I went back to the reel and I looked over it again just to make sure I had everything down. And I realized that it wasn't 1 month, but it said 6 months of this challenge. Now, obviously that's a stupid mistake. I don't know how I missed that the first time, but I immediately started to think about what that would entail, the difference between one month and 6 months, and how long 6 months is. August through January, which is crazy. I realized it would blow through 2 of my vacations: Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and my birthday. That is half a year of no junk food, drinking only water, taking only cold showers, training 5 to 6 times a week, whatever. 6 months of this. But it was too bad. I already committed to it. I told myself I was gonna do it regardless of how hard it would be. I was already committed, so I told myself I had to do it. And I completed it. I did all the challenges, all the tasks, whatever, except for the first one. I didn't complete that one. That's a whole different story, but I did all the rest of them, and I don't regret it at all. It was super hard. It was 6 months, a long time, 6 months of all those things. And I grew a lot in my discipline. I learned a lot. I grew a lot physically, mentally. Like, I became stronger. And this was one of, probably at the time, the hardest challenge that I had to do. And the biggest takeaway for me, and the thing that I want to talk about in this video, is that I learned the principle of saying no. I became really, really, really good at simply saying no, because that's what this challenge in the end was about. It was about saying no to junk food, no to drinking anything but water, no to sleeping in past 8, no to taking warm showers, no to not training consistently. It simply boiled down to saying no. And what I figured out is that saying no is probably one of the, if not the most important things in achieving your goals and becoming the person that you want to become. Fit, strong, successful, influential, all these things. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to achieve, whatever you want to become, you have to learn how to say no, and you have to become really, really good at it. Throughout this challenge, especially with the diet part, with the no junk food, every holiday when I was with my extended family and everyone would be so impressed and be like, wow, how are you not eating cookies right now? Like, there's a whole buffet of junk food in front of you and you're not partaking, you're not indulging, you're not eating any of it. How on earth are you able to do that? And they would say, I would never be able to do that. And all I could think is, like, I'm not any different from you. If I could do it, anyone could do it, because it's simple. All you have to do is just say no. Period. End of story. And the reason why I was able to say no in the moment is because I was committed to my goal. I was committed to completing this challenge and seeing how it would shape me and grow me. I kept my goals, I kept my commitment in the forefront of my mind. And in knowing that I am not allowed in this challenge to partake in junk food, that if I want to keep my commitment, if I want to complete this the way I really want to, then I have to say no. There's no other option. There's no point in even entertaining the idea of eating a cookie that's in front of me on Christmas, because I know my goal of completing this challenge. I know the person that I wanted to be, and I knew that I just wanted to do what I said I was going to do for myself, and to see how this would make me stronger and change my life forever. That's all it was. It wasn't easy, but it was simple. Now, you might be stuck in a loop of saying yes to things, of feeling like you can't say no to distractions, no to short-term pleasures, no to the things that are dragging you away from your goals. Because a lot of the things that we have to say no to are very enticing, are addictive, feel good in the moment. So it's hard to say no in the moment. But what you have to realize is that you are never going to get to where you want to be without saying no. And you have to remember, if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. What that means is saying no in the moment. You might be sacrificing short-term pleasure. You might be sacrificing feeling good in the moment. There's sacrifice there. But if you say yes and eat the cookie when you're trying to diet. If you say yes to staying home and playing video games instead of going to the gym, you say yes to watching, TV all day instead of working on your business. That is also a sacrifice. That is a sacrifice of your goals, of the person you want to be in the future, of the things you want to achieve. You're sacrificing those things down the road for feeling good in the moment. Now, the way you build the discipline and the ability to say no is just remember the importance, remember the sacrifice. It's either you sacrifice everything down the road that you want to be, or you sacrifice the short-term pleasure for that ultimate goal. Keep your goals in the forefront of your mind. All right. Remember, I'm on a diet right now. Why? Because I want to lose weight and become healthy so that I can live longer and hang out with my grandchildren and be able to go on hikes with my family and, play baseball with my son. Like, this is what I want, and there's a cookie in front of me. Do I want to sacrifice this goal or sacrifice freaking 10 seconds of feeling good by eating a cookie? Once you put that into perspective, it's a lot easier to say no. And guess what? All you have to do is just say no and then get out of there. Run away from the temptation. There's a verse that I'm memorizing right now, and it's 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." There's no temptation that you do not have the strength, the ability, the authority to resist. Right? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. If you are not a believer, this principle still stands because it's truth. If God does not allow us to be tempted beyond what we can bear, that means we can run. That means we can say no. That means we can take every thought captive, make it obedience to Christ, and resist the devil. This should be encouraging to you because you know you have the potential to say no, to resist temptation, to keep fighting for your goals, for the person that you want to become, right? It's real simple. And the more you do it, the stronger you become at it. The better you get at saying no. I got to the point, by the time Christmas rolled around, dude, the amount of junk in my house was like otherworldly. And I got to the point where I found pleasure in just staring at this junk food. I know it sounds stupid, but staring at this junk food and being like, nah. Like, it was fun to be in a position where it's like I'm so committed to a goal, where I'm like confronted with mass temptation and just being able to stand my ground and be like, nah, I'm pursuing a greater purpose. I'm on a mission. I'm on a journey that is far greater than whatever this crap is. I know I might be making this, way deeper than has to be coming out of a challenge with food and stuff, but maybe you're addicted to food. Maybe you have to start learning to say no. Maybe you're addicted to drugs, alcohol, porn. I wasn't able to complete the first task on this challenge because I was not strong enough to say no to that. And after years of struggling with that, God finally delivered me from it, which is a totally different video. But there's the contrast of not being able to say no, not taking every thought captive, not understanding that I have authority, I have power through Christ to defeat lust, to not in my own strength, but fully surrendered to God, that He will deliver me out of that temptation, because that is what His word says. That's what His promise is. And I didn't realize that. I didn't feel like I even had the strength to say no, which is a complete lie from the enemy, which took me a few more years to understand, but you have the power, you have the authority. For something as simple as saying no to driving through McDonald's every Wednesday, saying no to soda or ice cream, all the way to saying no to another drink, saying no to indulging in sexual immorality. This principle, this idea of saying no, could be the difference between you achieving everything that you're supposed to do, and becoming everything that God intended you to become, and the complete opposite. Your ability to say no is that bridge. And I just challenge you today, think of one thing, just one thing to start saying no to that is immediately going to start changing your trajectory towards achieving your goals. Again, it could be as simple as saying no to video games. Find something that you have to start saying no to. And start saying no to it. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. But the more you do it, the better you become at it. The stronger you become mentally, physically. And the more you're going to be able to sacrifice short-term pleasure, sacrifice feeling good in the moment for ultimately what you want to achieve. All right, so that's my challenge to you. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. If you want more guidance and help in becoming mentally, physically, and spiritually strong and work towards, everything that God created you to be, click the link in the description. I'd love to work with you. And once again, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.